Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to this week's episode of the Small Business Surgeon Podcast. And guys, I want to touch on marketing today and a little bit of the secret sauce that makes these online companies run. In my career, I've spent well over six figures, probably seven figures on ads and on media buys. And today's guest is the guy that runs my ads. He is an encyclopedia of marketing knowledge. He is the founder of Mayhem Brands. Please welcome to the show, Wayne Ledoux. Wayne, welcome, buddy. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks for having me, Sam. Really good to be here, and I appreciate the time that we're spending together.
Well, I'm sure it'll be fun, dude. And like, we both have a similar internet marketing background, at least, but I'm sure there's some holes in my game that you can plug today and pour into the audience and let them kind of know a few tips and tricks for getting paid ads where they want them to be. But before we get into that, dude, tell us a little bit about who you are, who's Wayne, and why the fuck are you on my show?
Oh man, okay. So if I had to give an elevator pitch about who I am and what I do, it's just all geared around trying to make sure that nobody ever has to worry about where their next lead appointment or client is coming from ever again. And the thing about it is that if you had asked my 24-year-old self if I was ever going to be an entrepreneur, I would have probably laughed in your face.
Right.
I actually did laugh at somebody that became an entrepreneur right before me, only to turn around and ask for his help a year later.
Why did
Um,
you laugh? Why did you laugh at him? You think it was a waste of time?
well, I didn't understand the power that it could bring to somebody. I grew up very
Mhm.
blue collar, very. My
Yeah.
mom worked for the state as a legal representative, and my dad fixed copiers a um for a living. And so growing up, it was be quiet, grow. Kids are meant to be heard, not or seen, not heard, or whatever that
Yeah,
statement is.
yeah, yeah.
And I went into my adult life thinking that I was either going to work for the military for the rest of my life or be a blue collar guy that fixed planes.
Well, blue collar guys, one of the things we're taught growing up is that we're supposed to be blue collar. Like we do the work, we're the workers. That's it. It's, blue collar guys do blue collar things and maybe don't reach beyond that. You're not that kind of guy. You're the blue collar guy. You're the worker. I mean,
Yeah,
it was definitely
exactly.
drilled into me as a kid.
Yeah, and I mean for guys like you and me, it's not until there's a particular event or a particular straw that broke that camel's back that we actually step into the unknown and we learn that we're more capable than we ever thought we were. And so
Oh,
if I had to pick a way to define myself, I would say I'm the guy that made more on my own, doing it my way than anybody else's way. And I just want to make sure that the people we work with and the people that I interact with know that there's a guy that's been through a lot of different stuff, but found his own way and did it without like harming anybody or breaking any rules. But I made sure to take care of the things that we're taking care of all through digital advertising,
hmm.
all
Dude,
through paid ads and learning how to work with systems and processes the way that I used to work on planes.
what was the moment for you that said, you know what? Because like what you talked about it a minute ago, and mine was, I'd be standing at my job, right? And I'd be just standing there, either washing dishes or just waiting on a customer to show up. And I would do math in my head and I would calculate how much money I was making every second. And I'm like, you know what? I could do better myself. And that was it for me. That from then on, I was always buying, selling things, trading things, and working, trying to build businesses as opposed to just having a job. What was it for you that made you say, you know what, this is the path I'm going to take? Because you laughed at your
I,
buddy a year before, right? You laughed at him.
Yeah,
But
well,
what triggered
I
it?
wish I would have had the foresight to think about it the way that you did, Sam, because it took my six-figure job taking away my medical, my dental, my 401k,
Oh
and
wow.
all my security when my son was 2. So the guy that actually started the job before me,
Mhm.
he told me, he's like, "Hey, I got a web developer and all that stuff." And so what I did, I don't recommend this, by the way, but what I did is I figured out that they were taking away all my benefits, and I didn't tell my wife. I spent the next 24 hours with the gentleman that started his business to create a
Mhm.
plan where he would pay me for selling his stuff under the table. I would collect unemployment from the state, and I would sell my stuff for half the day to make it work.
Right.
And in addition to all of that stuff, I had to actually give him 25% of whatever came in.
Oh wow. So what
Yeah.
what business was it? What did you start doing?
I actually used to do lead generation and appointment setting for the solar companies.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, before COVID, it was just, hey, do you need solar on your home? Do you want to save money on your energy
Hmm.
bill? Do you want to be part of the green energy solution that the
Hmm.
world is adapting? And from 2016 until 2020, we were one of the nation's leading providers of solar leads and appointments.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I I left that job that they took away from me with $2,500 in the bank. My wife was pissed, and my
I
son was
bet.
too.
But look now,
Yeah.
and it's a shame because solar's got such a bad name because of all of the shyster stuff that goes on with it within it. But like the solar industry and lead generating for it is a it's still somewhat of a blue ocean for new guys to get in and to cut their teeth on. I see a lot of people having success generating solar leads.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that like solar is actually behind other industries. So I know that you have a real estate background, and that was
Mhm.
actually my very first marketing job. Was working with real estate agents, building them
Don't
websites and stuff like that.
don't sell to real estate agents.
No, yeah. So when I
Like,
left real estate, I figured out that solar was very similar in the way that they gather their leads and they go through
right.
their appointment setting processes and all
Hmm.
that stuff. And but the to your point, the guys are hungrier. The kids are usually younger. They
Yeah.
usually don't have a lot of experience, but they know that if they do it right, they can sell a lot. They can make a life for themselves selling
Well,
solar.
it's a much shorter close on a solar setup too.
Yeah.
Selling a house is going to pay you a good commission, but it is quite complex. Especially for somebody. I mean, no disrespect by this whatsoever, but somebody at the beginning of their career with very little life experience and very little experience of dealing with people and with emotions and with negotiations, and it's not just taking some pictures and off it goes. And so I think that for younger guys wanting to get into sales, like solar's like roofing, man. If you'll do the work, you'll be able to make a really comfortable living.
Exactly. But then you have the crowd of people that also do tend to be more blue collar, more
Hmm.
hardworking, all that stuff. So I just kind of fit in with the crowd well because of my
Right.
background. And then it was a beginning sales job. And so it just kind of flowed that way. But when they took away my six-figure base and they made me work on a draw, I just couldn't have that. And
Right.
so
Right.
that was the event that led me to even realizing I was an entrepreneur, because before it was just work for Boeing or work for Lockheed,
Hmm.
collect a salary, and then build up a pension until it's time to retire.
And it's strange, you don't realize how valuable you actually are until you get into the open marketplace and say, right, am I gonna sink here or am I gonna swim? Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't think that the employees of Boeing and Lockheed and all that, I don't think they know just how valuable they are to those companies.
They don't, 100%. And the guys that I worked with beforehand, they, to be honest, they were kind of miserable guys. That's why I left the Air Force, and that's why I loved working on the F-16s, and I loved the fact that I was just in a fighter jet for half the day.
Right, right.
That was
That's
like
got to
some
be
cool
pretty
shit.
cool. Yeah, that's got to be
Yeah.
pretty fucking cool. Yeah.
But like the guys that had been doing it for 20 years, they were miserable. They all had back problems, and I'm a little guy, so I would be the guy that they would shove into the tiny compartments that
Hmm.
they couldn't get into, right?
Right, right.
And
Like a little
when
chimney
I
sweeps helper.
yeah, exactly. And when I moved to San Diego, and when I got into the marketing world and I started to see like how other people were, they weren't trading their time for money. That was the
Right.
first inkling. And then when they took away my money because of the time, I was like, wait a minute.
Hmm.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah. Like
So,
really the
but
key
then
is the
COVID,
value.
but yeah, but then
Sorry, carry on.
but then with COVID happening, the solar guys, before COVID happened, nobody in solar knew how to sell online. Maybe 10% of the deals would come from,
What are they doing? Just canvassing neighborhoods, like
yeah,
dropping
well,
leaflets and
they
knocking on
would take
doors
the
and stuff.
leads that we would get. Yeah, they would take the leads that we would get. Well, actually, let me back up, Sam. So, what would happen before they worked with what it wasn't called Mayhem Digital back then. It was just my name and some words and stuff. But they would come to Ledoux Enterprises and they would talk about how they were canvassing and door knocking, and they would pay third-party lead generation companies for leads that were being sold to 10 other of our
Yep,
competitors in the market.
that's how it
That's why I
works.
came up with the solution. I said, why
Right.
are we calling the same leads that 6 other of our competitors are calling when we can just put up some ads on Google and Facebook and then be the only person calling? It makes
We
more
can have our own
sense.
leads. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And so we turned a $10,000 budget into 176 in solar installs back in 2016. And I realized we were onto something because there was companies in the real estate sector
Hmm.
that were doing what we were doing. It's just solar hadn't caught up to the game yet.
Right, right, right. Because
And
that's
then when
that.
COVID happened, it changed it again.
I mean,
So,
that was the model for Zillow for real estate. You know, for the longest time, generate the leads, sell the leads. You know, it
yeah,
wasn't a new model. It's just you had tapped a new industry, then no one was doing it.
yep. You want to know what's funny? You
Clowns.
want to know how small this world is?
Yeah,
The
go on.
gentleman that is the vice president of sales for Zillow currently
Uh-huh.
in 2024, he was the guy that believed in me enough to hire me off the street to give me my first sales job.
Well, look at that.
He actually should have fired me. 90 days into the job, I didn't meet a single KPI. And it was all because of like, I didn't believe that I was a good salesperson. I would get mad. I would get frustrated. I wouldn't follow the scripts. All those fundamentals that everybody gets
No
mad at
kidding.
in sales.
Dude, nobody follows scripts on their first go around. Nobody. But I can do it better. Let me just talk to him. I'm a good talker. Nobody
Yeah.
fucking follows scripts. You can't. It's almost like you can't train a newbie to use scripts. They have to have tried it and done their own thing and failed, and then they're like, oh, all right, give me the script. Like,
Yeah. I was literally the guy that failed so much at that they almost showed him the front door.
mm,
I had one guy in the office that believed in me. All he did was put me on a better script and change my coach. Didn't change anything else.
hmm
But he
and
told me,
it,
he said, Wayne, if you can fix F-16s, you can sell some websites.
yeah, it changed your life just from one
And
guy
it
just doing the
completely
right
changed my
thing.
life.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's something that's overlooked, I think,
Yeah.
quite often. So having that one person to just really open a door for you, and you do the work. But like if you're new in sales, guys, and you're listening to this, the scripts are there for a reason. And every single one of us that has been and sold stuff has looked at those scripts and gone, no, fuck that, I can do it better. And
Every
honestly, you
single
can't.
one.
You can't. The scripts are there for a reason. These guys pay millions of dollars, or at least thousands of dollars, to get these scripts developed and get them right. And like, yeah, I think that's sales mistake 101, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, it kind of carries over into the marketing work too. It's just, we've got webinars and VSLs and AI and all this stuff. And like, it almost makes a lot of people that are trying to really like grow their business right now
Hmm.
more confused than ever. And
Yeah,
I say
yeah.
this to you literally every time we meet, like simple things done well. And when I say simple things done well, I don't mean simple as easy. The simple things that you have to do to make your marketing successful are actually probably quite hard to do well. A great example.
They're really
Um,
fucking hard. They're really. I mean, yes, they're simple, but it's really hard to get it done, dude. Sorry, give your example.
I mean, right now I've spent the past 2 days on an AI version of myself. Right. So obviously AI is a hot topic right now. Everybody wants to
Right,
be
right.
AI. Everybody thinks that AI is going to make their lives easier or a better marketer, or it's like the one magic trick that they're missing in their book. But I have literally I recorded a video of myself. I gave it to the best software company for AI on the planet. And I've spent another day and a half after I've created this thing that is probably going to like make everybody go, ooh, ah, going into the little tiny details and changing like the way that I construct the sentence within the software so that way the AI voice sounds more natural. In my opinion, it's actually easier to just go out and just do the video yourself.
There you go. That's what I'm getting at, because I've got the AI background now with the school that I did last year, and man, there's there's no. It feels so disingenuous, dude. I can script whole shows. I can script courses. I can script anything. Like prompt engineering is something I fully understand. I know how and it just doesn't work. The lack of authenticity that is there currently,
Yeah.
and you just, man, I just wonder. I mean, I think that overall, like, and not to get too off topic here, but I think overall that humanity's destination or destiny is to merge with technology. and to carry forward like as tech, humans will cease to exist and consciousness will be inside of technology, and that's where we'll be. So for me, looking at this AI and going, oh, let me replicate myself, I'm like, nah, fuck, I'll just keep I'll just keep wearing a flesh suit for now, because like eventually, you know, if bodies are bodies and souls are souls, who's to say our soul can't occupy a body that's made of silicone and graphene?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think they've already proved it to a certain extent.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sure it exists already, that maybe we just haven't seen it. But like there is we are definitely being run by a higher intelligence than us, like without a shadow
yeah,
of a doubt.
no doubt in my mind.
I
I agree
mean,
with you 100%. And you know, and it is a little off topic, but
the show
uh,
goes where the show goes, my friend. That's just how it is.
but
I think
I
I'm
think
changing the
that
rules.
you've seen the thing with Google, right? Where the Google AI thinks that it's conscious.
Dude, oh yeah. And then that engineer put out a warning about a year. It probably is conscious,
Yeah,
because AI is created by millions of dimensions worth of single cells firing, and they replicate neurons in a digital environment, and there's no limit. Like it can occupy n number of dimensions. Like it's fucking nuts, and
man.
it's all ones and zeros. Um, but they have replicated it. They based it on, you know, neurons and synapses from the human brain, and the way, because all the brain is a chemical way of sending and receiving electrical signals. It's a
Yeah, that's all it is.
biological way of doing it. And when you get super deep into AI, a lot of people get lost, myself included. The best way I can sum it up, it's like that movie Inception, and it's a layer
Yeah,
within a layer within a layer within a layer within a layer, and then there's biases and weights and mediums between all of the neurons in all of the
yeah.
layers that can be changed, and the brain can think, whereas we might be able to see in 3 dimensions, the brain can see in all of them, and it's absolutely terrifying. And you've either got to unplug it and shut it off and say no, or you've got to say, right, is this the peak evolution of our chemical bodies and our biological selves? And what's next in that evolution? I don't know.
Man, think about that sentence for a minute.
I mean, you know, if look,
It makes perfect sense though. I mean, my Ashley and I talk about this all the time about how, you know, like we wouldn't even know if there were like ancient civilizations before Alexandria and Atlantis and all that other stuff, about like what technologies they would have had or where they were, because it could have just completely reset.
right?
Like, you know, back in Egyptian days, Cleopatra ruled. So maybe the feminine ruled over everything and we
They
just
had
don't know.
they had animal heads on people bodies.
Yeah.
Like, you
So
know,
like,
man, I think that the point of humanity is the continuation of consciousness, and
I would agree.
whether that's
I would
done,
agree.
that could be done biologically, or I think what's going to happen is that continuation of consciousness is going to end up getting done mechanically, and instead of our souls getting downloaded into biological bodies, they'll start downloading souls into mechanical bodies. Like if you chopped your arm off, right, and you had the choice between growing a new arm or putting like a badass carbon fiber telepathically operated fucking hand that
Oh
can
yeah,
crush
you're going with
everything,
carbon fiber.
you're going with the hand. And it's the same with
Yeah.
the brain. Do you know, like if you had a Neuralink to where you had chat GPT inside your brain, it's not chat GPT, it's literally access to the collective consciousness of humanity.
Of all of
And
humanity.
so what we're talking about is, in a very, very short time, being able to plug in to a collective consciousness and know everything that's ever been known, probably within the next 10 years, if Elon gets his chip right and stops killing all the monkeys.
I haven't seen him, like, has he done it with humans yet or
I want
no?
to say they're just starting human trials. I saw something come up last week, but I do not know. I don't know if that's
I feel like I
true
did
or if it
too,
just
but
came across Reddit or something.
I'll have to
Um,
go back to Twitter since
I
he's the Twitter these days. But
I
no,
don't.
like
Yeah,
this is actually a great segue, Sam. This is a great segue to what we were talking about.
yeah.
Is talking about like the suck in the soul and the consciousness, and like it not being there with your marketing, right? So
Right.
um so we think about like the number one thing that everybody wants from their marketing is to have people buy your shiny shit, right?
Yeah, money, ROI. Let's go.
Yeah. And so the issue is the fact that what happens is you deal with the business owner,
Mm,
the person that owns the idea or the offer or whatever it is, and they're confused as to should they use a VSL, should they use AI, should they use this, should they use that, and the options are pretty much endless. But every single time that I've actually had success, and we're not talking about like, oh, hey, we got a couple leads. We're talking about, oh my God, we made 6 figures. Oh my God, this offer launched at 7 figures, stuff like
hmm
that. It all
Yeah.
happened pretty quickly once all the tech issues were worked out,
hmm Yeah,
right?
and that's three-fourths of the battle. Well, it's probably more than that. I mean, just look at the stuff we're doing with the pixels. Not necessarily
Yeah.
you, but we've got issues on second and third upsells with tracking pixels running properly. And you can't do any kind of seven-figure launch when you don't have everything working right.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to test all that stuff out. But once it's all working, it happens fast. And if it's not happening
hmm
fast, it's usually one of two things. It's either you talked about it with a presenter's dilemma, meaning like you talked about it on a level that the normal person couldn't understand because you've been doing what you've been doing
Dude, I do that
for so long alone,
oh my God. I do that
right?
all the time, all the time.
It's so common. I like it's not
Then they're
just you and
gone.
me. Yeah, and then they're gone, right? Or number two,
Yeah.
you just stole the soul from your advertising.
Mm,
This is why, like, when everybody gets excited about these like email rips and the programs that are like, hey, say this and say that, I understand because it's like you need a starting point,
hmm
right? But unless you take those email rips and the scripts that the coaches and the consultants and the low ticket to high ticket like value ladder ascension guys sell you,
hmm
um, you're gonna lose the soul in your message. You
Amen.
have to
Yes. Yeah.
you have to imbue yourself into that because along with the presenter's dilemma comes a beautiful happy accident. And that's the fact that you're so fucking passionate about what you do in most cases that if you can just transfer some of that soul and energy into your marketing, people
hmm
will buy.
Oh, dude, it's the authenticity. Like, there's so much fake shit out there. Like, everybody clicks generate email now, and you get a chat GPT email sent to you, and you're just like, can I have somebody real, please? And I
Yeah,
think a lot of us miss that, but it boils down to basic fundamental. If they know you, like you, or trust you, or preferably all three, they'll buy from you. They've got to do that. And if you can put that out there and have your brand known, liked, and trusted, then your brand will be bought from.
100%, 100%. And when you start to put paid ads behind it, it happens within just a few months, usually in most cases. And if it's not happening and you're not seeing traction within a few months, it's probably time to go back and look at your messaging and look at the way that you've presented the offer.
hmm
Because typically speaking, if it hasn't happened by month 3 or 4, you've got something that you've missed along the way.
Fire
100%.
them up, fire the marketing guy.
Yeah, fire the marketing guy.
And, it's so strange because most people fire their marketing guy within about 6 weeks, statistically.
Oh, is that
Um,
true? I I,
yeah.
I mean, you'd
hmm
think I would know that, but I don't.
Most agency relationships are 6 to 8 weeks long. And it's because we spent a shitload of money with you and we didn't get any returns. And you know, when you're doing marketing based on authenticity and based on attraction and based on having a message, it takes a little bit of time. You know, what would you see as far as a normal timeline for building something like that and moving it from holy shit, I'm scared I'm going to lose my house to, oh wow, this actually works?
Well, I mean, are you talking about on the agency side, or are you talking more on the whole like a holistic view as of the partnership as a whole?
No, 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 no. I'm trying to get business owners to understand that a little bit of patience with agencies is the normal thing. And normally it's going to take you a few months of running traffic at a loss to get your audiences dialed in, get your offer dialed in, get your ads dialed in, get all of it going. Because it does take some initial capital investment to kind of get that data and be able to act on it. You've got to see what's going on, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I don't really base it off for me personally, right? Just I've been in the industry for so long and we've had a referral based business for the last couple of years at this point because the results are good. So, it doesn't happen
Right,
as much
right, right.
as to us as other agencies. But I think that expectations are a big problem for most people, not just on one side or the other, but in the communication and the
hmm
way that those next steps, excuse me, those next steps need to happen. So, for all of the agency folks that are listening to this right now, make sure that once they say yes, it's not just, okay, here's your onboarding appointment and here's your form to fill out so that way we have our stuff. Communicate with them literally every single day, even if it's just a simple check-in for the first week or 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, obviously that timeline is going to depend on how complicated your digital product is, as well as like, you know, what kind of transformation you're offering, and your bandwidth, right? So like if you've got
Right.
less people, you can touch them every day for a week in most cases, and then after that you should be good. After that week, you should be touching base with them at least once a week. Here personally, Sam, you can attest to this. I talk to you every day.
It's just some like annoying little fucking leprechaun that I can't get rid of.
But that's the thing, is that,
That's
and
the
you know
point.
what's
That's why
funny?
that's what I'm paying you for. I'm paying you to
Yeah,
show up every day and be like, hey, get this shit done. Like,
yeah.
hey, I need this from you. Hey, where are we at with this? That's what I'm paying you for, man. I mean, I appreciate you reaching out every day because it reminds me that you're there. Um, a lot of
And
business owners, I've been on the receiving end of it. Well, they'll hire a creative and then you can't get a hold of them, you know?
yeah. Now, I mean, some of that is due to the nature of creatives. Obviously, you and I are both one to a certain extent, but we've
Hmm.
practiced ourselves past that point. And like that's if I had to say, if I had to take accountability for any other like agencies out there that aren't doing that, it was a
Hmm.
mistake that I made as well when I was
Right.
new. And I wish that somebody that had been farther along in their business in the agency space would have been like, Wayne, just talk to them every day.
Yeah.
I went 3.5 years into business thinking, oh, my shit's good enough, my shit's good enough, my shit's good enough, and just dealing with the cancels because, oh, they can't sell. Well,
Right.
I had to like lose enough money and be on that cycle long enough to realize, hey, you know what? They're not just, yes, they're obviously buying the results.
Hmm.
Everybody needs results. You don't invest money into something without some kind of outcome that you had in your mind. But the majority of people that I talk to that do business with us on a long term, they're like, man, I can't tell you how good it is to know that there's just somebody on my side.
Mm. Yeah.
Like I can go to lunch with my wife, or I can go pick up my kids from school without having like the fire alarms ringing in my head constantly. Like
That's
that's
every
what
day,
they're
man.
actually buying
Yeah. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
peace of mind. And it's
Uh,
your job as an agency owner to provide them that literally every single day. And I don't think as a community, the agency owners as a whole have done a good enough job on that.
well,
That said,
I think a lot of that is because they're used to being behind a keyboard and
mm,
maybe they're not used to talking in person to people. Maybe they're not used to communicating well with people, and maybe it's a little bit intimidating for them. And I've seen it happen with creatives. You cannot get a fucking creative to sell for the life of you. Don't even try, right? A creative's going to be a creative, right?
yeah,
They they
they're
they
gonna
they,
do
they
weird shit.
like
They're gonna be
they
messy.
right. So the minute the sale's done, they're like, oh, thank God, I don't have to fuck with that anymore. Let me go do my work. And then they avoid the person because they don't particularly they don't like that one-on-one engage. Maybe it intimidates them a little bit. But I've seen it in trying to develop agency owners and trying to help them, and in you know my in confidence in my own abilities, where you're like, ugh, I'd rather not talk to that client today. And so the most important thing I learned is shit. Everybody's in this to win. So build a relationship, pick up the phone, get on the Zooms, and do the work, man. It's not difficult, and they'll help you win.
Yeah, 100%. And I actually agree with a lot of what you said there. Because so many people, they think that they need to wait to feel confident, or they need to wait to like, even
Hmm.
inspire. This happens the same way with inspiration for a
Yeah.
lot of people too. They wait to be confident, or they wait to be inspired, or they wait for those juices to flow, and then they get into it. And then it gets reinforced by the fact that, or that thought process gets reinforced by the fact that they were in it, and so they did well, and so they're like, oh no, I have to be in it. But that confidence and that ability and that capability comes from the doing.
Hmm. No,
And
agreed.
it's difficult. It's like, I don't know, it's like, this is a terrible example, but it's like trying to explain to somebody that's been drinking for 25 years that it's okay to get sober.
Hmm.
You know, they don't think that it's possible. They think that that's the only way, and it got reinforced their entire life. But if you just like knock it off, or you just like do it and you do it one day at a time, eventually you're going to look back and you're going to be like, holy shit, that's a different person.
Hey guys, it's Sam, and as the small business surgeon, I spend a lot of time fixing businesses, but what surprised me the most was the amount of time I spend fixing the entrepreneur. If the entrepreneur's broken, the business will never run right. So if you're feeling stuck in life, if you're feeling stuck in your business, overwhelmed, and you don't know where to begin to sort things out, don't worry. You're not alone. It happens to all of us. I want to introduce to you my solution, The Clinic, a 90-day accountability program where I teach you to take control of your life. Best investments I've made have always been in myself. Go to FollowSam.Live and click Join the Clinic to apply.
No doubt. That's yeah, it's a tricky one. Quitting drinking. It's life's so much better on the other side of it, though. And I think as entrepreneurs, we spend a lot of time alone. We spend a lot of time under pressure. We spend a lot of time worrying about finances and about deals and whatever it is. And alcohol is very, very easy to I want to say misuse, but maybe overuse. Tell us about you and alcohol. What's up with that?
That is a graphic story of epic proportions.
Well, tell us currently about you and alcohol. Let's start there. How about that?
All right. Well, Wayne hasn't had a drop of alcohol since September 11th, 2021.
Congratulations. Well done.
Thanks, Sam.
What caused that, man? What inspired that change?
A DUI. So, I haven't actually talked about this publicly yet. So thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Okay. But life happens, buddy.
Yeah. So, it wasn't just a DUI. It was a DUI that took my son away.
Wow.
Yeah. So, my wife and I we've been married for a very long time, 15 years marriage, 16 years in a relationship, almost 17.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've always been each other's drinking buddies and each other's, party people, and just ride or die till the end, rock and roll,
Yeah.
We had my son in 2014, and what's funny is that we were like, hey, you know what? Having a kid is going to make us pull in our shit a little bit more.
Right.
And it did for probably about 2 years, 3 years. But then it all came rip roaring back. And July 31st, 2021, we went to Big Bear to celebrate I was arrested in Big Bear because we were at a celebration for my 15-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Yep. I was behind the wheel. My wife was in the car. She was drinking, but because she wasn't driving, she didn't get arrested. I got arrested, and they took my son for 10 months.
Wow, dude. That'll do it. That'd make you stop fucking drinking. I could see that.
And
wow.
like the whole thing, like I never wanted to be a dad until I met my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I met my wife, and something about that changed. And so when we had my son, that was like a defining moment in my life for me. And to have that taken away from me,
Yeah,
because of decisions that I chose to make. My mom said this to me when I called her after I got out of jail that night. She said, You've been riding this bus a long time. You've been paying the price of the ticket for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They upped the price of the ticket.
Yeah.
And I said the price of that was too high. And the worst part about it is that when we got her at, like, because I lived in San Diego at the time. It was about a 2-hour drive home from where we got arrested. When we got out of jail, we went to go get the Jeep from the impound lot.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it on the way home as to what we were going to do. And then we picked up a bottle of vodka when we got back home.
Mm. But the thing is, I know how easy that is.
Yeah.
Because
and it was just, we didn't know what to do. It was something to find comfort in.
Because it felt good. It took away that immediate feeling of pain. I mean,
yep.
And I've been there, and what I want to draw from your story is for the listeners to understand that, like, you can fuck up and yet still continue and unfuck your life and get it together and still go on and have massive impact. You know, like we've all been there. Like, fortunately, the DUI campaigning and media in Europe, it really put me off ever driving drunk. So I never really got in any kind of trouble with that. But you know, I've seen it. I've seen it. You know, I
You know
need
what's
to get.
funny
Yeah.
is my wife just randomly found this out the other day. You know this, but they don't. I'm in Florida now. Do you know how
Mhm.
long a DUI stays on your record in Florida?
I have no idea.
75 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean, you really shouldn't do it. But you know, lessons
no,
learned, dude. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. I hope that the audience finds value in it and knows that, like, if they're struggling at the bottom of a bottle, there's a way to quit. So, dude, tell me what the
there is.
first you quit on September 11th.
Well,
So,
so
or
that
September
bottle of
12th.
vodka led to about 3 weeks of irresponsible decisions. Um, and finally one day, my wife woke me up. I don't know I don't know why I was on the floor or whatever, but my wife woke me up and she said, "I'm gonna go get sober," and she left.
And that was that.
Yeah. So she spent the next 60 days in an inpatient thing, and I still had the business. I still had to deal with all the court issues. I still had to deal with like because my son lived with my mother-in-law for
Mhm.
that time. And so because my wife was in inpatient, nobody could see her for 60 days. And so I lived by myself. I picked myself up by my bootstraps. I got sober. I spent the next 10 months with visitation with my son. My wife came home 60 days later, and we made a conscious choice to make it work. That was by far and away the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Dude, I bet.
But
What?
it's led me to a path of gratitude. Like I do gratitude every day now. Because I
Yes.
have my son back, I have my wife back, and it was all because I decided to start living consciously again.
Mm. I love that.
I decided to, like John. Okay, this is a little off topic, but John Mayer has a song called "Love Is a Verb."
Mhm.
It's absolutely a verb
So now
because
a verb is a what, an action word, right?
it's an action word.
Hmm.
My wife and I had a conversation, a conscious conversation, like, hey, are we going to make this work? Are we going to actually get so? Because we had been, 90 days sober here, 60 days
Right,
sober there,
right, right, right.
for years and years and years. But I choose to wake up every day and I choose to be grateful for the things that I have
Hmm.
and the things that I've rebuilt and even the things that I've lost.
Dude, it's so powerful, like choosing to live in gratitude, because we spend so much time focusing on the things we don't have. We forget to be grateful for the things we do. Tell me how that affects you.
Gratitude itself affects me in a lot of different ways. I would say that the first thing that's noticeable, and you have to do it for a while, you have to kind of make it a muscle memory. But the first thing that started happening is probably about 3 or 4 months into me having a gratitude journal, is I woke up one day and I don't even remember what happened that was negative,
Hmm.
but it was like something negative happened, and I was like, oh well, at least ABC is going right.
Right, right.
So it's like it rewired my brain, and I remember thinking, oh my God, 3 months ago I would have never thought that way.
Hmm.
So like that's the first thing that gratitude does for you, is rewire your brain. But um it also helps leave a legacy, in my opinion at least.
Yeah.
Um, obviously, like I said, my son's back in my life now, and he's 9. And we always look at, like, at least here in America, we think about like kids and like, oh, mommy, daddy, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that.
Hmm.
And he does that just like every other kid does. But because we sit down and we tell him to be grateful for things, and we have him list 3 things that he's grateful for at the dinner table every night, we're crafting a more grateful human. And
I love
if
that.
I would have learned to be grateful at the age that he is, I feel like that a lot more good things, or at least I would have noticed
I
the
just
good.
We weren't ever taught that way though, dude. We didn't know. Our parents didn't know. Like, you can only evolve to the limits of the capacity of the people around you. Like, I certainly didn't know how to manifest or how to live in positivity or to be grateful for it. So I think that's part of our job as grown-ups now that understand the world the way we understand it. I think part of our job is to share that with other people and just, especially our kids, man. And I have Charlie every morning before I drop him off at school. Say, what are 3 things you're grateful for? And he'll be like, you, mom, and Bubba. I'm like, nope. I
Nope,
need
you gotta
3
do
more.
that
I need
again.
3
Yeah.
more. I need 3 more. Let's go. But I think it's our job as guys that understand this now. I think it's our job to put it out there and spread the message of living this way. And that, there's a bunch of shit happens every single day. There's great stuff happens. There's mediocre stuff happens, and then there's challenging shit happens. But if you dwell on all the bad stuff, like all you ever see is bad stuff. If you dwell on the good things that are going on, the bad stuff tends to just slide right off.
Exactly. It's a crazy thing when you come from the other side of that fence. Like,
Yeah.
the world is always happening to me. I have to deal with this and I have to deal with that. It's crazy to see that shift happen. And when it does happen, you have to pay attention. You have to, because it's little things at first. And if you're not paying attention, it'll pass you by.
Oh yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, one of the examples I like to use, pal, is the utility bill. Like, you open your utility bill and it's $300, and you're like, motherfucker, $300 in utilities. What's going on? But then you stop and think, and you say, you know what? I'm nice and warm, and I'm dry. I've got heat when I want it. I've got hot water. I've got cold water. I've got my trash taken away. I've got a microwave. I've got a dishwasher. I've got an oven. I've got a fridge. For $10 a day, fucking sign me up.
Yeah.
See the difference? See the difference? I can run my podcast. I can pay for my lighting. I've got a steak cooking in the oven right now. Like, $10 a day, and all of a sudden you've reframed your utility bill. And the steak is in the sous vide, by the way. It's not in the oven. That just wrong word.
I mean, if you were finishing it in the oven, then we wouldn't have a problem. But you live in Texas, so it's like,
we don't. I'm gonna sear it, but it's actually my lunch, and I my interview before lunch ran late, so it's been in there since about 10 o'clock this morning. But the good thing about sous vide is it won't go bad, so I'll eat it when we get done, mate.
I love that. That's good. It sounds good.
Yeah.
And the thing about it too, just to kind of cap that last idea off, right? Is that we all, as entrepreneurs, in order to keep going, because in my opinion, being an entrepreneur is harder than being in the military.
It's harder than just about anything, but you got to pick your hard, dude. It's like the most rewarding hard I've ever fucked with. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. But my point is this, is that we all, in order to get through those hard days, we have to connect to something that's bigger than us. And gratitude is a gateway to that.
Oh, absolutely. I think we read the same books, don't we?
No, we must. But and then I connect that to, like, if your marketing doesn't go right, okay, it's not the end of the world. Like, yeah, we did lose $100, or we lost $1,000, or that audience didn't vibe with that piece of content, but I've won and lost and broken even more times on every single marketing campaign. And no times in the past 7.5 years has it ever broken my business.
No, and I think what people forget in marketing and the science behind it is you're not trying to go like 100%. You're not trying to bat 1,000 or whatever. I don't know about the baseball sayings. Everybody wants to like hit 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, and win and win and
Grand
win.
slams every time.
But in marketing, it's more like a high scoring game. It's more like a high scoring game of football, and you might score 6, and so now you've got 35 points in the win column, but you might concede 17. Like it's not an exact science here. Marketing is about data acquisition and using that data to get you closer to a positive ROI.
Exactly. And
So,
feedback is the most, going back, actually, this circles even further back to the beginning of our conversation about being introverted and like, you know, being afraid of the feedback and stuff like that. I think the world is moving away from that stuff because the majority of the funnels that we run today are all call funnels, right? So it's like, hey, I sell a $5,000 thing. Here's the information about it. Become a lead, be on my email list, learn about it, book a call, VSL, you know, all that stuff.
right.
And over the past 2 years, I've seen a dramatic rise in people that just don't want to be on the phone, but still want to sell a super high ticket thing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of like cutting off your nose to spite your face for the majority of the market. If you've already like, you know, done some market research and you've got like sheets and Excel pivot tables and all that stuff to tell you who your current market is, what they want, what colors they like, how they think about, you know, and all that stuff, then sure, like that's another story. That's not 90% of the people listening to this podcast. They're launching new offers. They're trying new things. And that feedback loop and actually talking to the people that buy your shiny shit is literally the most important part of the whole thing. So if you're launching a new offer or you have something that's high ticket and you're afraid of being on the phone, I would highly, highly suggest that you either hire somebody that can do it for you or get over that fear, because that feedback loop is going to make or break your business. Not paying $10 for a lead.
Dude, for me to piggyback onto that point, get it done, eat the frog, fuck it up, mess it up, doesn't matter, lose the lead, lose the client, don't worry about it, because the only way you're going to get good at closing on the product you sell is to attempt to close it and then fail and say, right, what went wrong? And the quicker you can get through those failures and through those lessons, the quicker you'll build your own confidence in your product, and you'll build your confidence in your closing abilities, and you'll start closing more and more. But if you shy away from it in the beginning because, oh no, I just spent $100 to get this lead, so what? Spend $1,000, get 10 leads, burn them all. Fucking learn, write the stuff down, like build it, measure it, learn it. Isn't that what they teach?
Build, measure, learn. Yeah.
There you go.
You know what's funny is that, like, now that I'm on the other side of this fence, right? I would pay $500, $1,000, $1,500 for a client, because I know that the service is good, and because we touch base with them every single day, and because I'm the annoying leprechaun that fucking gets in your ass about your results every day, that they'll stay, right? So I know that I'm going to make $15,000 on a single client. So that 10%, but you like trying to explain that to somebody that hasn't been there is one of the hardest parts about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's acquisition cost versus lifetime value. That's all it is. Like, and again, with the, you know, with the skincare brand, we may end up paying $80, $90, $100 acquisition costs for each customer, but we'll end up having a average $350 to $500, you know, client life cycle. You know, so you pay up front, but you get the data, and then you look at the data and you make it all work. It's just how it goes.
Pay the fucking invoice.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about how easily my invoices are paid, and I always draft on time. So you could just.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, right, where to next? We don't have long left. So what I want to do is hit you up for a few bits of advice. First one I'm going to talk about is books. Like, I am a huge proponent of continuing ongoing education. I love it, and I'm always looking for the next great thing to read. What are some good books that you have read that have had a positive impact on not only the way you do business, but also maybe the way you think?
Actually, I literally just finished one that changed the way that I think about my business last night.
Okay.
It's actually called, it's part of the 10X series. It's 10X is better than 2X, or is easier than 2X.
Ooh.
And it's Dan Henry and Dr. Hang on, I'll pull it up right now.
10X is easier than 2X.
Yeah, 10X is easier than Dan Sullivan.
Oh, yeah. He uses Dan Sullivan. That's another hack. He uses that guy to write the majority of his books.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is that this whole book, because I listened to it obviously, and I didn't
Right,
actually
right.
um and the only reason that I did that too is because I'm trying to accelerate my learning, and I'm reading a physical book that's separate, and then I'm
Yeah.
listening to a separate book to try
wait
to
for the Neuralink, dude. Just plug that shit in.
right.
That's why I haven't bothered with Spanish yet.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Fuck
Yeah.
Duolingo.
Yeah. Guitar lessons, you'll be able to just move your fingers and like, yeah, it's coming,
That'd be
dude.
so awesome. I've been
Yeah.
stuck at like mid-level with my guitar for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. I think mid-level on the guitar lasts actually about 15 years, mate. So just enjoy it and keep going.
Ugh, yeah, enjoy the ride, right?
Dude, I've been on it 5 years and I'm just now getting competent enough to where I'd stand up on stage and play. 5 years it took me. So it's a long journey playing guitar.
I've been playing since I was a kid, but that whole decade and a half under the influence thing.
Yeah. See, while I was under the influence, I played drums because all you had to worry about was hitting stuff. So I was pretty good at that. You ever
No,
get
I
count
didn't
to,
even think about that. That
you
would
know, you
have that
just
would have been smart.
yeah, all you got to do is count to four a bunch and just hit things. So it's a lot easier than playing guitar.
See, I only picked up the guitar because my dad played it, and I learned at about 14 that I wasn't going to be big like the rest of the dudes. So it was like, how do I get the attention of the chicks without being buff and an athlete?
It's
Well,
guitar, dude.
music was the path.
Yeah.
But here's the funny thing is that okay, so my wife and I, we met when I was 20. I was okay for a 20-year-old kid. Like her dad owns a music recording studio that did Unwritten Law's
Oh,
first album.
okay.
Okay. So she was like, "Hey daddy, like I've got a new boyfriend that he plays guitar." Her dad absolutely shredded me the first time that we ever met. But when we met, I actually kind of stopped playing a little
Hmm.
bit. And it was
Well,
it was a
you got the
combination of the
girl.
fact that what?
You got the girl. Mission accomplished. Don't need a
Yeah,
guitar no
mission.
more.
There's a lot of dudes like that actually.
Yeah, I mean,
But fucking I got with Ashley, and then we started drinking. We just started partying. And the first thing to go for me when I'm under the influence is my creativity.
mm.
I can't play music. I can't like write. Like I write a little bit too. Can't write. Can't do anything. It just takes it away from me.
Well, I'm glad you quit, dude. Like, yeah. I mean, it took me 20 years of being drunk every weekend to figure it out, but I'm glad you made it. And there's always that point, and I'm sorry it was a very sharp point for you, but it seems like it's instilled a lifelong lesson, and the benefits, man, the benefits of being sober. You got all that now.
Yeah.
So
You don't come across the word mayhem for your company without living a little bit of an interesting.
well, that's funny, because I did wonder. I'm like, why the fuck's he calling his business Mayhem? This guy's like a vanilla ice cream. Like, what the
Okay, so actually the name Mayhem came about very organically actually. So solar marketing company was doing really well in 2019, multiple six figures. Like that's part of the reason why the partying got out of control is because I had automated the business to a certain point, and I was like, this shit's so easy.
Bro,
Got a big head about it.
that's exactly what happened with my supplement company, dude. It was automated and just printing fucking money, big head, alcohol, drugs, all of it. Fucking
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's
exactly what happened.
exactly what happened. Yeah.
And
You're not alone, pal. We're not alone. We've all done it.
but
But
so
when
what
I
happened
say,
was,
sorry, when I say it's the blue collar version, it's we both did exactly what poor people think rich people do.
oh, 100%. Yeah,
So sorry,
absolutely.
please carry on with your prior point though. I was just
No, yeah, I did. I was like, oh, now that my business is automated, it's all rainbows and butterflies, and all I got to do is spend money on ads and automate the delivery, and we're good.
that was it, straight in and out. Yep, that's exactly what happened. And I did what I thought rich people do.
I
And
still
that
remember. I
that
still
was
remember
party.
the day. I still remember the day that I made the decision.
Hmm.
I woke up. It was like my son was 1, or no, my son was 3. I woke up. I looked at the bank account, and it was the first time in my life that we had ever had 5 figures in the bank account. And I just rolled over and I looked at my wife and I said, "This shit is so easy." And I went to the store and I bought some brandy or some rum or something, and we drank the whole day.
Yeah. I remember those days.
Never doing that ever again.
Nope. But lessons learned, eh? All right, pal. I am sorry to wrap this up, but we are coming to the end of our time. So we did books. All right, my last question for you, and then shit, I might just bring you on a show again, and we can just chop it up for a little bit about non-business topics. But anyway, last question for you today, my friend. This show is aimed at us from 10 years ago or 15 years ago or whenever. It's aimed at entrepreneurs that haven't quite cracked the code yet. If you could go back and talk to Wayne from back then and give him one solid piece of advice, what would it be?
Learn to love the work.
Damn, that's good, dude.
Learn, like, no matter what it is, at least this is my experience. So I'm gonna answer the question from my experience. There are other people that have had different experiences, but being an entrepreneur and getting into business is an infinite game. And if all you're ever doing is doing it to get in so that way you can pay your bills and live your life the way that you quote unquote want, that's all you're ever going to do.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I had reached a point where I was like, do I actually want to be a marketing guy? Do I actually love this? And the answer for me was yes, because I was like, look, I have this thing where when it works, it's like, I told you so.
Yeah.
Right. But the only way that I can increase the amount of times that happens is to fall in love with the work and to do it judiciously.
100%.
And when I started to think that way, the work started to suck less. I started to really enjoy it, and I connected with the fact that I'm not just doing lead generation and appointment setting for other people.
Right.
I'm giving them sense of security that they have somebody on their side, and I'm building something that actually matters, that actually makes a difference.
Yeah. With each person, you're building their company, you're building their lives. So I'm sure.
And it all starts with falling in love with the work.
I'm sure they find you as invaluable as I do, my man. All right, last question for everybody that has enjoyed listening to you today. Where can they get a hold of you on the internet?
I am easiest to find on TikTok, Mr. Mayhem Official. Follow me there. But you can also, I've been working on my Instagram lately. It's Mayhem Digital Official. Those are the two places that you can get to me directly. And as always, mayhemdigitalmedia.com is where you can talk to me, my team, and look at the cool stuff that we have going on.
Sweet. I'll put that in the show notes, mate. Thank you very much. Dude, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having me, Sam. I'm grateful that we got this time.
Dude, thank you. Guys, that was Wayne Ledoux. Please go check his stuff out. If you've liked this, you can share the show, leave some comments, let Wayne know that you were listening. And if you need help running ads, he is the guy to call. All right, that's going to do it for us for today. You'll be good and stay safe. And I will see you this week for Friday Fire. Bye. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the show for today. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed the conversation that we've had and you want to learn a little bit more about the systems and processes involved in running businesses online, join our Facebook group over at FollowSam.Live. All right, that's it from me for today. You'll be good, stay safe, and I'll see you next week.